Every summer, millions of Australians hand over $200 to have their car's air conditioning regassed. And every summer, most of them are being robbed. Here is the secret your local AC shop will never tell you. The refrigerant in a sealed system does not wear out. It does not evaporate. It does not go stale. If your car needs gas every year, you do not have an empty system. You have a leak they refuse to fix because the leak is what keeps you coming back. But there is a $5 trick that Aussie mechanics use to beat them every single time. So let us open up the blind spot. There are two choke points in your car's cooling system, and both of them clog quietly over time. The first sits hidden behind your glove box. It is called the cabin air filter, and almost every car built in the last 20 years has one. Its job is to strain dust, pollen, leaves, and grime out of the air before that air is blown across the cold evaporator and into your cabin. In the Australian climate, red dust, dry grass, and pollen absolutely hammer this filter. After a year or two, it stops being a filter and becomes a wall. Your blower fan can be screaming on full, your refrigerant can be ice cold, but if the air cannot physically push through a filter packed solid with debris, only a trickle reaches the vents. The driver feels weak, warm airflow and assumes the gas is low. It is not. The air is simply blocked at the door. Most people have never seen this filter in their life because it hides behind a clip-in panel most owners do not know exists. The second choke point sits at the very front of your car, right in the firing line. It is the condenser, and it looks like a thin radiator mounted ahead of your actual radiator. This is where the heat from inside your cabin is dumped back out into the atmosphere. For it to work, air has to flow freely through its thin metal fins as you drive. But those fins face the road. Over the years, they catch everything the highway throws at them. Bugs, dust, mud, seed heads, and a greasy film of road grime that bakes on hard. When the condenser is caked, it cannot shed heat. The refrigerant comes back around still hot. The system loses its bite, and the cold air turns lukewarm the moment you slow down in traffic and lose your airflow. Again, the gas is fine. The heat simply has nowhere to go. This is the knowledge that separates a real mechanic from a counter salesman. A good mechanic does not reach for the refrigerant machine first. They pull the cabin filter and hold it up to the light. They walk to the front of the car and shine a torch through the condenser. 9 times out of 10, on a car that has never been touched, one or both are choked, and restoring them costs almost nothing. A brand new cabin filter for the average Toyota, Holden, Ford, or Mazda costs between $5 and $15 at any parts store, and some of them clip out and clean up with a blast of compressed air if they are not too far gone. Rinsing a condenser costs the price of the water in your garden hose, or $5 for a can of proper coil cleaner if you want to do it properly. That is the entire trick, not a mystery, not a special tool, not a workshop machine. A $5 filter and a rinse of the fins, and the same system that felt tired and warm suddenly blows cold enough to fog the windows. Aussie mechanics do this on their own cars every spring before the heat arrives, and they never once book themselves in for a regas. They know the truth that the signs at the servo are built to hide, that 90% of weak summer air conditioning is an airflow problem wearing a refrigerant costume. So before you hand anyone $200, you owe it to yourself to spend 15 minutes and $5 checking the 2 things they hope you never learn about. Here is exactly how you execute the $5 trick in your own driveway. Start with the cabin filter because it is the easiest win. Open your glove box, empty it out, and look for 2 small stoppers or clips on the sides that let the whole box drop down further than normal. Behind it, you will find a thin plastic cover or a slide-out tray. Pull it, and the filter slides straight out. If it comes out grey, brown, and stuffed with leaves, that was your problem the whole time. Take a photo of which way the airflow arrows point. Drop in a fresh $5 filter facing the same direction and clip everything back. That alone can double the air coming out of your vents. Next, move to the front of the car. With the engine off and cool, find the condenser sitting just ahead of the radiator. From the engine side, gently rinse it with a garden hose or spray a $5 can of coil cleaner through the fins, always pushing the muck back out the way it came in, never blasting it deeper. Keep the water pressure low because those fins bend if you are rough with them. Let it dry and you have just restored the system's ability to dump heat. While you are there, check one more free thing. Find your recirculation button on the dash. On a scorching day, switching to recirculate tells the system to recool the already cold air inside instead of fighting the furnace outside, and the cabin drops in temperature far faster. Finally, look under the car after running the AC. A small puddle of clean water is perfect. That is the evaporator draining as it should. Now, be honest with yourself about the limits of this trick. If you have done all of this and the air is still warm, or if the system was blowing genuinely cold last month and died overnight, then you may have a real leak or a failing compressor, and that is when a proper diagnosis is worth paying for. The point is not that air conditioning never needs work. The point is that you should never pay for a regas as your first move, when the real fix is almost always a blocked filter and a dirty condenser you can clear yourself for the price of a coffee. Do this once, at the start of summer, and you keep your money in your pocket and your cabin cold through every heatwave. If you are learning something from this, hit subscribe. Every week I pull apart the quiet scams and engineered traps hidden inside the everyday things you buy and the services you are told you need. Because the air conditioning shops are not the only ones counting on you not knowing how your own machines work. The exact same playbook is running right now under the bonnet with your engine oil. If you want to see why the 15,000 kilometre oil change your dealer insists on is quietly destroying your engine, and the simple habit that lets a modern motor clear 300,000 kilometres without breaking a sweat, click the video on your screen right now.